What's going on, everyone? How you all doing today? I think we're live. Are we live? We're good. What's going on? Happy 4th of July to everyone in the States. As usual, I like to know where everyone's tuning in from, so let me know in the chat where you guys are watching from. Today, we're going to be talking about my favorite guitar tuning and some different ways to learn new tunings, specifically this one, but these strategies will work for just about any guitar tuning out there. And the reason I think it's important to experiment with this stuff is this is a really great way to break out of a rut in your playing or inspire new styles of playing or new melodies or chord ideas. This is I use this all the time. If I'm sick of hearing myself playing the same stuff over and over again, I will switch to one of these tunings and it instantly kind of re-inspires me and sort of recharges my guitar playing, if you will. Couple quick announcements before we get going. First of all, we got a July 4th sale going on. 40% off everything in the store, including the tone course and my HELIX presets, KEMPER profiles, my impulse responses. Everything is 40% off for the next 24 hours, I believe. Use the code RS704 at checkout. Also, today is Saturday. A week from today is the very first Backstage live show. I am incredibly excited about it. It's going to be happening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on this YouTube channel. Our very first show, full band, live streamed from here in the basement, so stick around for that. If you want to donate to help us get the stream going, there's a PayPal donation link that will be in the comments section down below and in the live chat here. You can donate to that PayPal link, and it will go directly to helping us get this stream going. So thank you to everyone who's already donated. We've gotten an incredible response. So huge thank you. All right, so let's get into it. What is my favorite guitar tuning? So on my podcast this week, I had Joey Landreth as a guest. And Joey and I talked about tunings. And the tuning that he primarily plays in nowadays is open C. I love this tuning. Now, I saw in the chat before we started, people were guessing what it was. And you were close. I got a bunch of open D, a bunch of open E, but it's open C. Now, if you're not familiar with open tunings like open D, open C, open E, basically what that means is I have tuned this guitar so that when I play all 6 strings open, it creates a C major triad. So C, E, and G. Now, the strings are all tuned the same way depending on whether or not you are in open E, open D, or open C. So for this tuning right here, we have, you switch cameras, this is the tuning I'm in. So I've got, starting with the 6th string down here, C, G, C, E, G, and C. Okay? So that is, if you're thinking about it interval-wise, that is root, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, root. So it's just a triad, okay? Now, what's interesting about this tuning in particular is the fact that this guitar is set up with baritone strings. Because we're tuned down so low from standard tuning, we've gone from E all the way down to C, the guitar really needs to have thicker strings on it. So this guitar is set up very similar to the way Joey plays his guitars with baritone strings. It's just a standard scale length guitar. This is a Revolta Combinata. It's not a baritone or anything like that. It's just a standard Revolta. It's got a wrap tail around the back there, but it's just got baritone strings on it, and they did set it up for baritone strings. So the nut has been filed out a little bit more so that the strings actually rest in the nut like they should, and they've adjusted the neck. But you can do this on a standard scale length guitar. And the reason I like this so much, and it's my favorite tuning even over open E or open D, is the sound. If you just listen to this thing for a second, you should understand what I'm saying. it has this sort of dark, kind of haunting, beautiful tonality to it that you don't necessarily get with E or with D. Now again, they're all tuned the same, so if you don't have a guitar set up like this, you can follow along at home with one of your standard guitars by tuning it to open E. All of the chord shapes and the scale shapes and everything that I'm about to show you will absolutely work in open E, open D, and open C. Okay, so it's just root, fifth, root, third, fifth, root. You can kind of think of it as if I was to tune the guitar so that I was playing a first position 6-string root major triad like this. So like an E major chord, right? We're essentially tuning the guitar to play that chord for us, okay? Pretty simple. So how do you get into a new tuning and start playing musically rather than just kind of putzing around and not knowing where you are, not knowing where your chord shapes are, your scales are? How can you start to play musically right off the bat? Well, there's a couple of things that I like to work on. Camilo, what's up, man? There's a couple of things that I did early on when I was learning open E that I think really helps. So the first thing is learning your major and minor triads up the harmonized major scale. It's pretty simple, and if you can play that stuff, then you can instantly start playing songs in this tuning. And once you can start doing that, then it instantly unlocks the door for you to start actually making music and playing new things and writing and kind of getting inspired with this new tuning. So what we're going to do is just learn our basic major and minor triads up the C major scale. Now, another cool thing about playing an open C like this is C major scale is sort of the easiest scale to wrap your head around because there's no sharps and no flats. There's no accidentals. All the notes are natural in the C major scale. So what I'm going to do is play the C major harmonized scale. What I did there is a really common chord shape that gets used a lot in standard tuning. It's like playing tenths or thirds, major and minor thirds, with my root note on the 6th string and my third, either my major third or my minor third here on the 3rd string. Because we're tuned like this, I have root, fifth, root. So that's basically just a power chord. These bottom 3 strings are power chords. So I have C, 5. The other thing you can do is just bar all 6 strings, and that's going to give you a typical just major triad. So that sounds, it works, but it sounds kind of boring and kind of stuck. So I like these open voicings. Again, because this guitar is tuned diatonically to the key of C, I can utilize these open strings to play along with and kind of add some color to the chords that I'm already playing. So what we're going to do is just start with our 1 chord, our 4 chord, and our 5 chord. These are really common, especially if you're going to try and play any sort of blues progression with this style of tuning. You're going to want to know these 3 chords to start with. So our 1 chord obviously is just C major. Play it open, or you can play it on the 12th fret. Okay, my 4 chord in this case is F major, which is going to be here on the 5th fret. And my 5 chord is going to be a whole step up from there, G, which again you can just bar. But again, those are kind of our boring shapes. So instead what we're going to do is play the root and the major third with the open strings ringing out. So the first shape I'm going to use is with my middle finger, my 2nd finger playing the root note on the 6th string. That's going to be, in this case, we're going to play our 4 chord, so that's going to be right there, the F. And then I'm going to use my 3rd finger to play the major third, which is the same fret 3rd string. So what I get is just a major third. but they're an octave apart, so this is commonly referred to as tenths, like a tenth voicing. Same thing there. So that's a really simple voicing, and you can do that in standard tuning. Now what we're going to do is apply that up the neck and play the harmonized major scale. So 1 is major, our 2 chord is minor. So to make that chord minor, instead of playing the 3rd right here on the same fret as my root note, there's a major 2, I'm going to play it down a half step, giving it a minor 3rd. Here's major, here's minor, and so you have a minor triad. So here's root, open, 2 chord, 3 chord is also minor, 4 chord is major, 5 chord is major, 6 chord is major, 7 chord, minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished, but we can play that minor shape there to get that dissonance, and back to 1. So now you have pretty much all of the chords in a diatonic C major progression. So let's say I wanted to play along with like a 6-4-1-5 progression in the key of C. So I'd start with my 6th chord here, which is A minor. And again, I know what chord this is because I know the root note here is A, and then I'm just applying this minor shape, putting the minor 3rd here. And because I'm tuned to open C, all the chords are in the scale. Or all the notes are in the scale, sorry. So that gives me a nice open 6 chord minor voicing. So 6, 4, 1, 5. You can do it with a slide too, actually. If you practice with your slide, you can play behind the slide, get your minor 3rd. It's a little hard to do, but so just by practicing those chords and learning them up and down the neck, you can immediately start to play with songs that you already know. The next thing to start figuring out, and then that's going to help you start to play more musically with this stuff, is to actually learn where your notes are and to be able to play scales. Now, the reason I like to use these kind of open tunings is because none of our typical patterns that we know as guitar players work, right? You can't play a minor pentatonic scale shape. Like if I was going to play F minor pentatonic, I can't just go, because it doesn't really work. And these open tunings don't really lend themselves very well to this style of playing. They, in my opinion, or at least the way that I like to play it, it's more playing up the neck, playing vertically or more linearly, if you will. Same thing like if you're playing slide a lot. So the way to start learning that stuff, again, is to start with your major scale. The advantage that you have here is 3 of the 6 strings are tuned to C, to your root note. Your 6th string, your 4th string, and your 1st string are all C. So what that means is anything that you learn on this string applies to that string and so it's pretty easy to learn that way. Same thing with your 2nd string and your 5th string. Those are tuned to the same notes. If anybody can tell what song that is, you get 15 bonus internet points. So one thing to start doing is to start with your major scale. In this case, we're going to start with our root note C. We're going to do it on the 4th string, and we're just going to go up the 4th string. And if you're learning this, use your ear. let your ear tell you if you're playing the right notes or not. You know what a major scale should sound like, so play it and find the notes up and down the neck. The other thing you can do is let the open string ring out on the bottom, that open root note. This is also a really great way to start practicing slide and start getting your intonation in order. And then play both strings together. Same thing with the fifth string. Like I just said, we can double that with the second string. Now, another reason I really like playing in this tuning, and it's a favorite of mine, is because it's easy to start playing something really musical even when you're first learning it. Even when you're first starting to just wrap your head around where your notes are, where your intervals are, where your chords are. Because you can utilize, these open strings, you can immediately start to play something musical. Like that Midnight in Harlem, Jack got it. So congratulations to Jack Haywood. Midnight in Harlem. You've won, what I say, 15 bonus internet points. Congratulations. But yeah, that Midnight in Harlem riff from Tedeschi Trucks Band, right? Essentially, they're just kind of playing the major scale. Now, in that, the original key is the key of E, but here we're playing in the key of C, obviously. That's a beautiful melody. It's incredibly simple. They're just letting the open tonic, the root note, ring out. And they're playing 5, 6, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, 1. So you can instantly start to pick up melodies and pick up chord progressions and stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to play, or you wouldn't think to go to in standard tuning, because as guitar players, we're all so pattern-based, right? The way we learn guitar, the way we learn our chords, the way we learn our scales, we tend to think in patterns and muscle memory rather than thinking musically and thinking, where does your ear tell you to go? At least I do that. I'm really, really bad about that. Anytime I'm playing in standard tuning, it's really easy for me to fall back into playing just the same shapes, the same patterns, and everything that I've played plenty of times before. And that's what Joey said on the podcast this week. You know, that's part of the reason he started with open E and then ended up going to this tuning. Again, the other thing is, with open C specifically, is the tonality of it. Because it's so low, it completely changes the character of the guitar. And these chords that you've played a million times before, an A minor chord. We've all played A minor a ton of times. Right? There's two different ways to play A minor. Again, because I know my root note is A, which is here, the sixth note of the C major scale. And in this shape, I'm just doubling the A here. So I have a... That's a beautiful A minor sound. Same thing up here. Or if I want to, I can add my third finger on the second string. And start to experiment with different intervals. start to find new voicings that are not nearly as easily accessible in standard tuning. It's part of why I love this. Another cool thing is you are one note away from a completely different tuning that we would commonly refer to as, that you probably know as dadgad. So I'm actually going to switch guitars here for a second. This is my Mule resonator, and this is currently tuned to open D. Sounds amazing. So same thing as open C. We have root, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, root. This time just in the key of D. But I'm going to take it to dadgad. We're just one note away. Our third note here is F sharp, because again, the key of D, third note of our D major scale is F sharp. And all of that together is giving you a D major triad. For those of you just joining, welcome. A couple quick plugs. 40% off everything in the store if you use the code RS704 at checkout. That's including the tone course, HELIX presets, everything in my store. It's a 4th of July sale for the next 24 hours. Also, if you want to support the stream that's happening 1 week from today, the first Backstage live stream, you can do that at the donation link, the PayPal donation link, which is linked down below or here in the live chat. All right, so back to Open D. I'm going to take this from Open D to dadgad simply by going from F sharp to G. We're going to tune our 3rd string up a half step. These strings are really old, so if I break it. And so now I've got dadgad. So instantly you've got a different tuning. Now the thing of dadgad is it's essentially an open D sus4 tuning, right? We've replaced the major third with the 4th note of the scale, and so it's going from an open D major triad to an open D sus4 triad. But a lot of the same ideas that we just talked about with open C still apply. Our root note on the 6th string still works. So we can find these really beautiful open chords just by playing some simple shapes. And it's all about experimenting and trying stuff and seeing what works and stumbling into really cool ideas. So, same thing we could do with open C. Actually, yeah, I'm leaving the headstock tuner on just for Rick. Here you go. I'm gonna leave that on. So now we essentially have the C major version of dadgad, an open C sus4 tuning. All I've done is taken this E up to F. We've gone a half step from E to F, and now I have this dadgad. A minor 4 voicing's really pretty. there you go. That's my favorite tuning, and why I love it so much. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Tone Theory. Wasn't gear focused, but we're still talking about guitar tone and what sounds good. So we got any questions? Joni Mitchell would work in that tuning, I think. You're right. Yeah, Joni used this kind of stuff all the time. She still does. Put this back in open C here. Take a couple of quick questions. Don't forget, 40% off everything in the store for the next 24 hours, including the tone course and all my HELIX presets and impulse responses. Also, quick plug, we're going to be releasing some slides pretty soon. These are from the Rock Slide, and these are my favorite slides. It's an aged brass. It's machined and super comfortable. And the thing I like about this one is it's way lighter than a normal brass slide would be. We're also going to be releasing some glass slides as well, similar to that right there. So if you're looking for a new slide, those will be available soon. Honest opinion on the guitar I'm using right now. Yeah, Revolta Combinata. This is one of the older ones. They've redesigned these a little bit now, and they're being made in a new factory. But this is it's a great guitar, man. I think these go for about $1,000, made in Korea, and they sound great. And they feel really nice. Let's see here. Aged brass rock slides are the best. Yeah, I love them, man. Have you ever seen Derek Trucks live? Yes. I've seen Derek Trucks live probably 12 times between Derek Trucks band and Tedeschi Trucks. And I saw him when he was touring with Clapton back in 07. I saw him on that tour. That was like the first time I ever saw him. It was amazing. Let's see here. Derek changed your whole idea of what a guitar can do with a slide. Yeah, he did that for a lot of people. Sean, should you get your Mexican Jazz Master plecked by Sweetwater? Yeah, I've had a couple of guitars of mine plecked, and they've all come out really well. There's a shop near me here in Atlanta called Righteous Guitars that has a pleck machine. And I've had my acoustic plecked, a couple of my Novos plecked. And it genuinely does a good job. I've made a couple of videos on it. And there's kind of a common misconception about pleck machines, which is, and I thought this for a while too, where I always thought you just kind of put the guitar in, you pushed a button and the machine did everything. But that's actually not what it is. You have to have a skilled operator running it, having somebody that actually knows about guitar setups and about fret jobs and fret work and how a guitar should play running the machine. The machine will only do what the operator tells it to do. It's not a robot necessarily. It's just a really, really high precision tool, essentially. So with that in mind, yeah, I mean, you know, I think Sweetwater is a good place to send it, because I imagine their pleck operators are really good. Righteous, their pleck operators are really good as well. Yeah, but it does work, man. It really does, you know. Especially if you've got a guitar that needs some fret work, it'll get it in good shape. What size strings do you recommend for tuning down a half step in standard? I use 10 to 46 for half step. I recently switched pretty much all my guitars over to 9s, but my Strat, which stays in half step down, I have 10s on, and it works really well. What does it cost for a pleck? I think it depends on where you go. I'm not sure what Righteous's rate is anymore. It used to be, I think, like $180. I think maybe it's $200. It's been about a year since I've had a guitar plecked, so they might have changed it. Does OpenC work with other genres? Yes. So that was something I wanted to bring up that I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Obviously, everything I was just playing kind of has a Americana or a kind of blues sort of feel. And if you're not into that style of music, you might think that these tunings don't really work for that. But that's not the case. That's just how I play in these tunings. That's the chords and the lines and everything that I like to hear is how I play. But it's just like playing in standard. If you listen to like Joey Landreth or Ariel Posen, guys that use these OpenC tunings a lot, I mean, they get a much wider variety of sounds and styles out of these tunings than I do, because they've been using them for a lot longer, and they're a lot better players than I am. But yeah, you can use this tuning for anything. A lot of it too has to do with the sound I've got pulled up right now. This is kind of a bluesy sound. But it's something to experiment with, man. Something to try out. Tor, you got here late. This is OpenC, so you can rewatch the stream starting at the beginning, and you should be able to get everything you need of it. Let's see here. Can we hear fuzz with the tuning? Not right now. I'm not set up for fuzz. I'm actually using a Universal Audio plugin. So I'm going straight into my interface over there. All right, everyone. Well, I'm going to jump off here. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this week's stream. Don't forget, a week from today, almost exactly 1 week from today, 7 days and 1 hour from now, we will be setting up and getting ready to go live for the first Backstage live show, which I'm incredibly excited about. So be sure to check that out. Throwing slides all over the place. Hope you enjoyed today's video, everyone. Don't forget to check out the links in the description box down below to support the channel. If you want to get 40% off everything in the store, use offer code RS704 at checkout. And yeah, we'll catch you guys on the next one.